Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Mike Crook Show with our host Mike Crook. Mike, another great biohacking session we're going to have today.
Yes, yes, yes. New technology, new to the mainland United States, but we have our friend Darren Fryer from out in Hawaii, and he's going to be talking about what's been happening in Hawaii with this technology. We were going to have on, and he may jump in here any minute. Who knows? Dr. Duggar, who we've had as a guest before, talking about LifeWave and what it's meant in his personal life, his family's life, and his clinic and he's using this technology in clinic as well too. But he's had a really crazy busy day, and so it's just got jam packed, and he's not available to jump on with us immediately. But if we see another one trying to get into the show as we're going through, we'll incorporate from there. But welcome, Darren. Great to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your background in the world of marketing and how you came across this technology and what it's been doing in some of these other countries, just to start with. That'll help us out and get us going.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, Neil, for having me on. Yeah, my name's Darren. I'm 33 years old, born and raised here in Maui, Hawaii. But I've been a full-time health and wellness digital entrepreneur since about 2013. I was actually a college student studying international business, and I saw people start to really do business online. Found people that I could learn from that had the results I wanted, both physically and financially. Got into the health and wellness space, which led me into devices and technology. About 10 years ago, I started doing a lot of distribution across the US and Australia for medical grade water ionizers, and was able to change a lot of lives, really helping people understand the benefits of premium and proper hydration and filtration too. And then this technology, PEMF and Terahertz, which we'll be covering on this podcast, got put onto my lap just about last fall in Thanksgiving 2025. I actually heard a testimony of my auntie having some insane results with like her bone regenerating from a broken shoulder bone. And it just led me down the rabbit hole of hearing all these other stories happening in Hawaii. Realized that I needed to be a part of the fun, be a part of the health movement that was really happening with frequency healing. And long story short, I've been full time with this since about 2 months ago, since February. I went full time, put everything else on the side, realized that we had an opportunity to really help spread some really valuable information and help a lot of people all across the country, all across the world with our company. So very excited to be here.
And Darren,
Awesome.
you're not a healthcare professional, and this is not you're not a biohacker like we are. That we're always looking at our age, trying to find things and tell our community about those. But you're a marketer, and you see something that's doing extremely well, and if it's doing extremely well, it's got to have a reason behind
Yeah.
that. It's got to be something that's driving it. And usually in the health and wellness space, it's because it's doing something just almost supernatural. It's doing something that's really crazy good that's there. So tell us about the origination of the EMPF and this in the countries that it was founded and created in. And pardon me again, my internet's unstable today. I don't know why, but we may have to re-record, but hopefully
No,
not.
you're good. You're good. Keep going.
But just can you kind of give us that description of how we got to here before you heard the first testimony about it? What happened with this company? Who brought this to the marketplace? What does it do? Those kind of things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So before that, I am a very avid biohacker. I've gotten into biohacking my
Okay.
own body about 10 years ago. I'm a competitive professional skimboarder, so I get pounded in the heavy shore break, some of the most dangerous shore break on the planet. So I'm always trying to keep myself young and active for a very long time so I can continue to compete at a high level. But yeah, to kind of share with how this company and this technology has evolved, basically our company is leveraging a technology that's existed for decades. PEMF, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic fields, was actually something originally invented by NASA. And even before NASA like officially invented the devices to use with their astronauts, it was something Nikola Tesla heavily studied and was using back in the 1800s. He has this famous quote that the frequencies of the earth are attuned to the same frequencies of the brain and the human body. And as you guys know, he's a very educated, very wise individual, probably one of the wisest of our time. So PEMF has been around for a long time. That's how there's over 10,000 published medical studies that have been done on it, but it was very expensive. So NASA invented it for their astronauts as they were sending them up to zero gravity. Those astronauts were constantly returning from their trips, unable to walk or stand. Their bones had lost density, their muscles were atrophying and falling apart, and they're obviously trying to keep these guys as healthy as possible. Is like the one variable you can potentially control with space travel. But they couldn't do it. They're giving them the best food, best water, best oxygen. We've all seen videos of them exercising in zero gravity, trying to keep them healthy. But they realized once they hired Dr. Schumann to help them, that it was because they were losing cell voltage and because they were losing circulation of the blood. The bodies were starting to fall apart from the inside out, and they were coming back without the ability to stand or walk. So they invented pulsed electromagnetic field devices, put them in the spaceships and space stations. And for decades and decades, ever since the 1980s, it wasn't ever an issue again. And
So if I could say it simply, pulse electromagnetic field or frequencies is basically your connectivity to the earth. When you walk barefooted outside, you get connected to the earth and that pulse electromagnetic field. We don't do enough of it anymore because we wear shoes everywhere and we're not barefoot and we don't get on the beach and walk the beach as much as we should. Maybe you do more so than I do. Even though I live near the beach, I just I don't get enough out there to walk on it to do. But you get this naturally. They go into space, they lose that connectivity with the earth, that groundedness, and so they saw their bodies atrophy. They invented some machines to use while they're in space to keep them reconnected. And when they can't use them, then what happens? Because we saw this recently again with when Elon Musk rescued the people from
So we've seen a very recent example that we're all familiar with, I'm sure. About the time of the government shutdown, shortly after the pandemic, we had the space station, the USS space station. Astronauts actually got stuck up there, and they had to actually wait for Elon Musk to send a SpaceX rocket up to rescue them and bring them back to Earth. But because they were up there for a prolonged time, that wasn't in the plans, and they didn't know how long it would take for them to get rescued, they had to conserve electricity on that space station. So they actually had to turn off their PEMF machines because, of course, they have to prioritize all the vital technology that would kill them instantly if the oxygen and water and all the other things turn off. So they had to conserve electricity. So they were actually up there for a couple months without any pulsed electromagnetic field devices turned on. And when they got rescued, I'm sure a lot of you can remember, you could also look it up on Google. They got carried and wheelchaired off of those spaceships. None of those astronauts were able to walk or stand or run and jump and celebrate being rescued. They all had to get carted off of the spaceship. And it was because they were up there without any PEMF exposure for a couple months. And yeah, as you were saying, Mike, it's tuned to the frequency of the Earth. Dr. Schumann discovered that frequency. It's about a 7.83 hertz, so a low resonance frequency. And that frequency was actually named after Dr. Schumann. So now it's called the Schumann resonance, is known as the Earth's natural frequency. It's what you get when you're earthing, when you hug a tree, when you're barefoot at the beach, when you're in your garden barefoot, working on your plants. You're absorbing those frequencies through your feet, through your nerve pathways and energetic pathways. It charges your body, charges the voltage of your cells, increases circulation, resets the nervous system. You see some incredible stuff. And this is also why I hypothesize that we get jet lag, probably the same reason why astronauts are getting very sick and weakened, and why you feel weak when you do a long trip on an airplane. You're far from Earth's geomagnetic field, not quite as far as the astronauts, but those devices, I mean, those airplanes and spaceships are also electromagnetic radiation machines. You know, they're also pumping out sonar, radar, Wi-Fi, 5G, all these different negative frequencies that the human body are not aligned to, that we honestly haven't been exposed to for more than 30, 40 years because it didn't exist back then. So we still don't even know the negative repercussions of being around so much of this wireless communication network and frequencies that, you know, we all can accept that those are passing through every cell in our body. They're passing through the walls and roofs of our home. They're also passing through our cells and every cell in our body too.
So, I mean, these machines were billion-dollar machines that NASA invented. Nobody can afford that. Maybe some athletes. I think I heard, was it Charles Barkley or who was it? Shaquille O'Neal that said
Yeah.
he said that he attributed his longevity in the basketball world from using this same technology over and over again. But obviously, somebody who could afford it. But then all of a sudden comes in who, and what does he do with it? He reverse
Yeah.
engineers it, makes it cheap. So who's the guy that brought this to the marketplace?
Yeah, so of course, the average person, 97% of the world can't afford the type of devices and technology professional athletes and astronauts have access to, or billionaires. So the devices were millions of dollars, or even on the lower scale, hundreds of thousands of dollars once they started really hitting wellness facilities. And even individual sessions and treatments of PEMF were generally $1,000 to like several $1,000s per treatment. So it wasn't really open to most of the world to afford. That's why it's been hidden or kind of secretive, so to say, because a lot of people wouldn't have been able to apply any of the information because they couldn't afford it. And then our owner, Mr. Wang, he's extremely wealthy, a 39-year-old billionaire from China, incredible crypto and real estate portfolio. He was actually searching for a holistic, non-invasive solution for his own personal healing. It brought him to Germany and Sweden, where he actually found medical grade PEMF devices that he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get treatments for himself. And he actually finally found a solution, and it finally helped him. And he realized that this technology could benefit every single person on the planet, especially in the modern world we are, where we're so disconnected from the earth and nature. He realized that this technology could truly benefit so many millions and even billions of people, but it wasn't affordable. So they went on a mission because they were also looking for what's the next business venture them and their billionaire business partners were going to pursue. And they realized that this was what they wanted to create, the Apple of electronic wellness technology. And they created OnlyLife. So they first started in 2019. They actually went out there and purchased research and development facilities in Sweden and Germany. They were able to successfully reverse engineer this technology and also merge it with terahertz, which is a separate frequency that works in harmony with PEMF. They're two different frequencies simultaneously. And they were able to manufacture an incredibly high quality product. But as we know, technology advances, things do get more advanced, but they also get more affordable. We all see how there's like 90-inch TVs at Costco that are under $1,000. I mean, back in the day, those were several $1,000s. So,
Right.
technology changes and evolves very quickly. And they were able to successfully create a consumer grade product, something incredibly powerful, very portable, but also very affordable. They're priced all around the same price points as Apple products. So after 3 years of research and development, they launched the company OnlyLife out of Singapore. Research and development is done in their offices in Sweden and Germany. The internal manufacturing of all the parts of the machines are made in Japan, where you find all the rare minerals and metals and coils. And then they assemble the devices in Hong Kong, which is what's able to allow them to bring that price point down to an incredibly affordable price point. And they launched out of 2022 out of Singapore. And by the end of their second year in business, by the end of 2024, they were doing over 80 million a month, and they had cleared $1 billion in sales by the end of their second year. And this was just in Singapore, Malaysia, and Taiwan. They had a lot of Olympic athletes using it. In Asia, people are much more open and familiar with non-invasive natural healing, because this is basically traditional Chinese medicine mixed with modern technology. So it hit the market by storm. And it wasn't until last summer, 2025, they started actually translating the company out of Mandarin Chinese, started getting warehouse distribution set up across the North American continent, and they started to work on their expansion into the United States, Canada, Australia, and Europe. So that's kind of what we're right now at the forefront of right now.
So they came to Hawaii first.
Yeah.
And you got the experience there of it. Now tell us a little bit about what you're seeing happen with people physiologically that are using these machines in Hawaii. It's called a P90 Plus machine.
Yeah.
It's about the size of a carry-on bag from what you would put on your airlines. Yeah.
Yeah. Got one
Small
right here.
carry-ons. Yeah.
Fits
Yeah.
in my carry-on suitcase. We were traveling around the country with it just a month ago. But yeah, so it actually started with the expansion in the US through Hawaii, because Hawaii is basically the bridge into the North American continent. So the first machine, literally the very first of these machines came into Hawaii last summer. And it was the only machine in the entire North American continent. And it just created some incredible testimonies. The very first one was my business partner, Jason's friend, Billy Maffei. He actually was world's strongest man 2 times in a row a few decades ago, but he had undergone a few strokes, a few mini strokes. So he actually lost feeling in half of his body. And for 15 years, him and his wife traveled the world, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying every type of treatment they could to get any type of nerve feeling back. When they saw their friend Jason was in the country with the first machine, really just doing the marketing and translating things into English, they asked if he could use the device. At that point, he was still very new to it. So he was like, look, it makes a lot of claims. I'm still learning about how it works, but you're more than welcome to just come and try it. It was the original P90, so the older flagship model. It takes 30 minutes for a full session. The newer one is 20 minutes. But they put him on the device, and he had no feeling in half of his body. Like, he would be cooking, getting oil burns, wouldn't even feel it, would be doing lawn mowing, getting cuts and rocks hitting his shin, and his shin would be bleeding. He wouldn't even know. And that's how bad the nerve damage was. He went on the device, and 20 minutes into it, he actually started to feel the heat moving up his calves, which you might have felt that when you were using the device. You could feel the heat. If you have nerve damage, it takes a little bit sometimes for those nerves to kind of reawaken. But within 20 minutes, he actually felt heat coming in from the right side of his calf, which he hasn't felt anything for 15 years. And he was able to move his feet. His toes were always kind of frozen, and his hand was a little frozen. So he was able to pick up his slipper, toss it at his wife across the room, and the whole room of Tongans and Samoans, big guys, were all crying, because that was a huge thing. That was like a miracle to them. And then from there, it's a small island, a small state. So it's word of mouth. Everyone knows everyone. So people started hearing that story. And with one single machine, literally the only one in the whole country, the only one in the island, there were just people lined out the door, coming in with crutches, wheelchairs, canes, like hopping on the machine and just getting incredible results, like pretty immediately. And then it led to about $1 million in sales of the device within 30 days, just from the word of mouth. A lot of the retirees, a lot of the baby boomers in Hawaii, it's generally, you're not eating the healthiest diet from the local population. Lots of spam, lots of corned beef, macaroni salad, and white rice. So it's pretty prevalent out here. How much gout, diabetes, varicose veins, bad circulation is very common, especially amongst the islander community, the Polynesians and Tongans, Samoans, and Hawaiians. And yeah, it just created consistent, powerful testimonies, and it just spread word of mouth in the most organic way. None of these people were salespeople by any means. They just wanted to help their community, help their elders, help people who are dealing and living in pain. And it's a very demonstrable product, very easy to share it with people and let them try it. And it just really took off, and that's kind of how it started to slowly expand into the rest of the US, from all those testimonies here in Hawaii. And even one testimony too, my auntie, who I was telling you about earlier, she's 68 years old. She fell off of her couch last summer and completely had a clean break on her shoulder bone, Auntie Lori. And she went to the hospital, and it was a clean break. They did the x-ray, and her shoulder was completely broken. And they said, there's nothing we can do. We can't do surgery on it. You got to just wait it out and let it heal. And it should take about 8 to 12 months at your age for that to regenerate. Thankfully, her husband had just gotten our P90 Plus. So she came home, and every day, twice a day, she used the foot device. We have a localized PEMF wand that her husband used on her direct break on the shoulder. And within 6 weeks, she went back for her very first checkup. And at that point, that first checkup is supposed to be like, okay, let's remove the stent and let's see if you could even move it like a microcentimeter. She removed her cast or her stent that she had, and she was able to do full range of motion, to where like even the x-ray technicians at our hospital who've worked there for 40 years were like blown away. They've never seen anything like it. They were kind of freaking out. They're like, calm down, don't do that. We need to x-ray you immediately. So they x-rayed her, and this was about 6 or 7 weeks after the break. And they saw full bone regeneration in her shoulder bone. Like, they were so blown away. Even the x-ray technicians at our hospital bought the devices for their friends and family, because they couldn't believe it. Like that type of bone growth doesn't happen for someone that age. Like generally 8 to 12 months minimum. Maybe if you're like 14 or 15 years old, it'll grow back really quick. But when you're that young, you have high cell voltage. And that's why kids seem to regenerate very quickly. So yeah, that was what really got my attention. And then I got a device, brought it to friends personally, my parents who have pickleball injuries and tennis elbow, and my friends who have pinched nerves and broken backs and swollen legs from leg surgeries. And it was just around the clock, like testimony after testimony, swelling going away, mobility coming back, pain going away, all with a very powerful, non-invasive natural device like what we offer with PEMF and Terahertz.
See, I have questions on this. So what is the cost? What's the cost for a device like this?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, they're generally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our company's goal was to bring this to the consumer market. So all of our devices are between $500 to $1,500. Our top of the line, best of the best machine, the P90 Plus, which comes with a wand for your body and a wand for your face on top of the device you actually place your feet on for whole body regeneration, is $1,500. So very affordable. If you can afford an iPhone, you can afford one of our devices.
Wow. And so you talked about all the different people can benefit from this technology. Talk a little
Yeah.
bit more of that, like really understanding the type of person. We already talked about the athlete, certain people, but you're looking at, if I'm correct, arthritis. You're looking at potentially lots of types of pain. You even talked about varicose veins. You talked about specifically circulation, all that stuff from this. Wow.
Yeah. So it's been pretty crazy, like just a wide plethora of different benefits and people that can use it. So first off, there's the healthy individuals, the athletes who are biohackers and want to prevent injury and optimize their sleep and optimize their recovery. And that's why a lot of athletes actually use this even before they train, because when you use the device, it heats up all your joints and ligaments and you feel super warm and limber. It'll actually help you go out there and perform at a high level without tearing something potentially. So there's that whole audience of like the biohacker and the wellness community that's really been blowing up. But it also really, really affects people who are dealing with chronic pain and illness. I mean, it's not even just the device, it's really the human body has the blueprint on how to support and heal and regenerate. We just don't support the body's natural healing process properly. And this supercharges it. Like I always try to keep it very simple. If your body is the vehicle, the PEMF is charging that car battery, and the terahertz is really fueling the tank. If you're trying to operate and your body's trying to heal and repair and recover, but it doesn't have the cell voltage and it doesn't have the circulation to get to where it needs to go, those white blood cells aren't able to perform the things that they know how to do. And that's why we see this help people on such a wide variety, because the body's ability to heal itself is very miraculous. And if we can support that process from a foundational standpoint, that's why we're able to see such crazy, like wide range of results. And this has all been studied too. Like that's the most beautiful part. We have patents that show our devices produce PEMF. We have certified studies that show that they produce terahertz frequencies. And if you guys go on ChatGPT or Grok or whatever AI you use, you just type in, how can PEMF and terahertz help me with blank? And you'll be blown away, because there's tens of thousands of studies that have been done. It's not the easiest to go and search those manually on those public libraries, but AI is able to scrub it, summarize it, and source every single thing to all these different double-blind medical studies that have been published on sites like PubMed, to really showcase why it's doing what it's doing. But it just supports the body on a very foundational level, supports the body's natural healing process. And when we look at traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, cupping, all these things are just really designed to have your body bring blood circulation to a certain muscle, to a certain ligament or bone, to really encourage and support the body's natural healing process. That's how traditional Chinese medicine has been so powerful for so many years. So this is able to really supercharge that process in a much more convenient and less painful manner, because I tell people sometimes using our device is like getting acupuncture on every centimeter of your body, which wouldn't be an enjoyable thing to be doing on a daily basis. But it's much more enjoyable and comfortable just putting your feet on the device while you're drinking coffee, reading a book, or watching TV for 20 minutes a day. Very, very low change to your lifestyle that needs to be made to benefit from this technology.
Wow. All right. So, as we continue this conversation, I think that it's just the amount of benefits. So, how do you order this? How's the process? We're gonna have a link on in the show notes for sure. But is it pretty simple, the process to get this technology?
Yeah, very simple. It's a direct to consumer product, which also helps bring the cost down of the device because there's no middleman, there's no retail and all these corporate advertising. They pay for word of mouth and it's direct to consumer. So you'd simply reach out to Neil or Mike. They'll send you a link to submit your information and they'll be able to put it into the account and send you a link to check out. And the machine will ship directly from one of our warehouses. We have some in California, Florida, New York, anywhere else in the world. They ship out of like Singapore and Asia. And the machine will come straight to you within about 5 to 10 days.
Well,
And then it's ready to use out of the box pretty much. You plug it in and you can get your first session in right away.
we're going to run out of time before we get into everything else they have to offer. So maybe have to do another program.
Yeah, we
But
definitely have to do another podcast.
I really want to talk about the weight loss massager and what it does. And if we can just get into it and then talk in more detail, because I've used both products right here and I'm getting, I've got some neuropathy in my feet that nothing else has worked with. And this seeming to start changing some dynamics in my feet. So that's exciting to see. But I've always had just a little bit of love handles here that I've had to deal with. And no matter what I do in exercise or diet, just can't seem to get rid of little love handles. Well, I've seen some substantial decrease in the love handles just in a matter of days of use of another one of their technologies. So let's jump into that and then we can do another show on that one because this is in the weight loss arena is an amazing piece of technology. So fire away at that, Darren.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, the other products, a lot are designed for regeneration and whole body optimization. But last year in December 2025, they actually launched their newest product. This bad boy right here is called the Shaken Massager. This is the first ever smart frequency-based weight loss device. So it does 7 different things simultaneously, and the main purpose of it is to target that stubborn belly fat, specifically the visceral fat, which is the fat around your internal organs that actually tends to hold most of the toxins in your body. So the visceral fat, generally very hard to target. This does 7 in 1. So it does PEMF, it does ultrasound, it does radio frequency, red light, vibration, heat, and massage. So 7 things in one simultaneously. It's wireless. You charge it overnight and you got 10 full sessions on. You wrap it around your stomach and you could even flip it around, have it on your lower back, hit those back handles. And yeah, we actually have a lot of guys at gyms who have the in-body readers who actually track that it actually burns more than 500 calories in a 20-minute session. And it's right there, like on the stubborn belly fat, like literally targeting and melting the visceral fat cells. And then you hop on a P90 Plus or P90, increase that circulation, microcirculation, which will help you really detoxify and flush that out of your body. So very powerful results with this device, very easy to use. It's hands-free. You just set it up and you can go about your day and do so many other multitasking while it's on. But very, very powerful. Does it localize right there on this most stubborn part of the body.
Well, I look forward to another podcast on that one, Mike.
Yes. So I know we're out of time. So let's set another time to get back together here real soon. But I'm telling you, there are at least several things that our audience need to be aware of. Because it's not just one technology that does everything. If you look at that, Darren had his hand up and he's wearing the patch on his hand. We're all activating stem cells. We're doing other things that are helping our bodies in every way. And we want to bring all of this to you. We want you to be aware of it. We want you to hydrate. We want you to do the things, brain food. All of this stuff that we're talking about, guys, is technology that is in the marketplace that you may not be aware of because the companies that are marketing just haven't gotten to you yet. You haven't really had the momentum. So we want to bring this to the audience, make sure they're aware of this and move on here for in the near future with all of these things so they can see. We probably have got at least 3 more shows out of this, I would
All
say.
right. Okay, great.
To do. So, Darren, thank you for having us on. Neil, you want to sign us out?
Yeah, so we go ahead and just DM us. Soon news more to come, but go ahead and like and subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate it, guys, and we'll talk soon. That was a special simulcast Neil Haley Show and the Mike Crook Show, guys. Take care.